So Susan, I first got to know you when I was doing the Threadbearing Witness project, and I was introduced to you through the Winchester and Southampton Visitors Group, and they said there's this amazing artist Susan who works with us, and the project was about refugees and migration, and we were looking at creativity as a way to kind of understand the whole issue of migration, but also to kind of celebrate human dignity. And I met you, and we started to work together.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what we did, or you did?
Oh, okay. We met at a little cafe. We get to know each other, and then we went for a walk, and that walk ended up in, what was it? In the art gallery.
Yeah.
So
the City Art Gallery.
The City Art Gallery in Southampton. Then we looked at some pieces we both loved. And then I liked the brightly colored ones, and Alice liked the blue ones.
But we got to know each other. We started talking. Yeah. And then we started working together.
We started working together. We started with painting. You remember in Winchester?
Yeah.
Just painting.
And you told me amazing stories about your life in Uganda. And you painted them, or you told me about your grandmother.
Yeah, how she inspired me with art. She used to be very creative, but she created with her hands. She used to make like these beautiful baskets. But that's where I think signature spiral came from.
Yeah.
It's a means of continuity, and it inspires me. It's a way of always looking forward in spite of what you've been through.
And I learned so much, you describing this idea of looking forward. I learned so much from those conversations that we had when you were making, and in the end I just stepped back because you were just so in the flow. You were making so many beautiful things, and I was learning from you. And for me, that was a huge moment of switching to seeing how you had your painting and that became your stitch work, became a way of me understanding your stories. Yeah. And you made a huge piece.
Yeah, I made a huge piece.
And you did a lot of different techniques on that.
Yeah, there's so many different techniques because it was first painted, then printed, and then I did a lot of stitches, so many stitches. There's even beadwork on there.
And you did some felt making as well.
Actually, there's felt making.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Yeah.
There's felting on there. It's really a good piece.
It's an amazing piece. And it's about your, the kind of growth from this very kind of difficult trauma and repression to emerging as a kind of creative being. A really powerful piece. And since then, you've been you made so many pieces of work. We've worked together. I've asked you if you want to do more work, but very much your own work.
Thank you so much. You've inspired me too.
Well, you've inspired me, and how do you think your work has changed since we first met? How do you think it's developed?
I think there's growth.
Yeah.
There was a lot of. I've learned so much, especially to do with embroidery, because that was something new. It's not. I'd never worked with so much with thread. I knew I had an idea, but I'm growing so much, and I'm surprised with myself with what I can do with thread. And it's all hand stitched.
And you're dyeing the cloth as well.
I'm dyeing the cloth myself, because before it was painted and printed, but now I'm dyeing from scratch.
And you're fitting this in your
plus my other day job. Do they call it a day job or my other job? My other job, I work as a healthcare assistant at the Southampton General Hospital. So during my day offs, that's when I create my artwork.
And I've watched you grow in this artwork, grow in confidence. And for me,
Oh,
that has been
thank
exactly
you.
what the project was all about.
Oh,
To
thank
find,
you so much.
you know, to release and empower people through
Yeah,
creativity,
it's true.
but
It's
acknowledge, you know, the difficulties.
true.
But also, what I was really interested in is cultural heritage.
Yeah.
And there is a lot about your Ugandan heritage.
Yeah, there is.
And do you think that's the colour and the spirals?
The colors, the spirals, especially the texture, because what else? Even the dyeing methods,
Yeah.
because it's a different kind of dye. It's not. We usually have lots of tie and dye, but I've discovered something new of late, whereby I use like ink intense.
Oh.
So it's sort of like you're coloring or you're painting on the fabric, direct on the fabric, but it's you're using dyes and inks.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how my work has been.
And then, so you'll put that on the background, and then you will stitch on top.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll stitch on top, and then dye it again.
Dye it again.
Yes.
Oh. So it goes through lots of different processes.
Through so many processes, because that piece I have, I dyed it, then embroidered on it, and then dyed it again.
That's really.
Or painted on it.
I hadn't realised that you'd done that.
I did
So
that.
it's quite interesting because you mainly do hand stitch, although now you be interesting to see with the sewing machine whether that changes, because I don't do very much hand stitch.
Yeah, mine is totally hand stitched.
Yeah, so we have a similar process. So we do paintings. I tend to use the painting to reproduce that into print, and that's what we did with the first piece with yours.
Yeah, even these other pieces, I've not painted, but I've drawn. I've drawn the pieces from scratch, the figures and the designs. I've designed them myself and then transferred them on fabric. But my method of transferring, maybe I'm not patient enough. But when you're doing embroidery, you're supposed to be patient. Everybody thinks you're very patient.
Well, that's interesting. But
sometimes when I start like with for example, drawing on a piece of paper, I change my mind a lot. So I tend to draw on the fabric, directly on the fabric.
Well, that's interesting, because this is what I do as well.
Really?
So we share this approach. But do you think that's partly because all of your work and mine, you know, we do it in different ways, is about telling stories?
Yes,
and so maybe the story kind of grows as you represent it.
Yeah.
And so, because the stories that you're telling in your work are really complex but very profound. They're quite they're about difficult. Well, tell us about some of the stories.
For example, I have lots. Which one would you prefer?
I would like to know about the piece that you had with the blue piece with the central geometric.
That one, like Watchers from Beyond?
Yes.
Oh, that one. Actually, that one is more of sort of like a personal, sort of like more of close to heart. It's about what I would call watchers. I sort of think of my ancestors or my parents who have left me and they're no longer with us, my mom and dad, then my grandmother, and then my uncles. Sort of like when I'm creating, I sort of think about them like they are watching over me, seeing how I'm progressing. Like I would call it, where I come from, we call it from nothing to something.
Yes.
So when I say from nothing, I wouldn't want anyone to be offended. But that's how I sort of look at myself, because I've really progressed. I did art at school, but then it has progressed to another level.
Did you do textiles at school?
I didn't do textile.
So all of the stitching, is that self-taught?
Yes, all of it.
Yeah.
All of it is self-taught. And
because quite a lot of it is complicated stitches. So this one behind us, it's got lots of French, we call them French knots.
Yeah, French knots. Actually, this one I loved it because of the texture. I love the French knot so much, because it's sort of like you can make it, you can use, you can make big,
Yeah,
or
it's very
smaller,
textural.
very textural, and I think it's sort of like my background. I love to feel things. I have to touch things when I'm creating. I think that's why I'm rubbish with knitting. Because I have to feel the fabric.
Yeah.
I have to feel the texture for me to be able to produce something.
And the flowers, these little purple flowers, they are layers of fabric, but how have you made those?
Those ones actually are burnt.
Are they?
They're singed.
So you put them with a match.
No, they're together. They're cut out and then they're singed with a flame to make that texture the way they are. But they're different kinds of fabric. It's like organza.
See, what I like is they're very modern. You're using a lot of really modern contemporary techniques mixed with something which is that you've taught yourself, but also drawing upon your heritage and your things you've learnt in Uganda. It's a very strong piece. You have a all of your pieces have this wow. So
that's how my brain feels like. I like to tell people what I feel on the inside.
Yeah.
In spite of everything that's going in there. I love to have that place whereby I'm telling a story at the same time, not making feel people so sad. It's like therapy.
Yeah.
You talk about your feelings, how you're hurting. At the same time, look on the bright side. What is that's there that makes you happy in spite of what you're going through?
I think what you're describing is exactly what I think creativity is about. It's it's finding something about that you can own, that you have autonomy, you have power, because you can be creative in your own terms.
It's so true.
And I think that is something that is about rehabilitation. It's about owning your life back.
Yeah, healing.
Yeah. And I learned a lot of that from you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So can I ask you about the scale of the work? Because stitching is very slow, and you and I both work on a very big scale. There are big pieces that you're doing which take months, don't they? Months of stitching.
This one I think has taken a year, has it?
A year.
Yeah, because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Why
do you like working on such big, laborious work?
I just love it. I just love working on them. I just can't stop. It's not how people say if you're bored. I just feel I can't stop. I have to do it. It's not like something I go to to hide what I feel, but I feel.
Do you think it has a different presence and you can tell a bigger scope of a story on this scale?
Exactly. And when I have a small surface, I feel limited.
Yeah.
I have a lot to tell.
Yeah.
But on a small, so I feel confined. In fact, as we began, you remember I told you on the other piece of living in boxes.
Yes.
On small pieces, I feel like I'm in that box.
That's really
I
interesting.
feel I need to expand.
Yeah.
And that's why I love working on large pieces.
Well, I want to continue working with you, seeing what you do, because you have been an inspiration to me,
thank
Susan.
You so much.
And I think I've learnt so much from you, and I hope we work alongside each other and together, because we've done work together as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
So I feel very fortunate that we have found each other.
Oh, thank you. Me too.
Yeah.